Some people say the world changes one tiny moment at a time, but let me tell you, sometimes it just takes one sound of slap, so sharp it stops everyone breathing, even in first class where people pretend nothing ever ruffles their feathers. That day, the slap came first. 4-year-old Emily Bellamont's head snapped sideways. Her blonde curls fell across her cheek, and the crayon drawing she'd made off a plane soaring through yellow sunshine slipped from her hand and landed on the perfect polished floor. Nobody moved. You could see the champagne bubbles pause mid-glass. Behind her, Miranda Kingsley, lead flight attendant, froze with her palms still in the air like she wanted to pretend it never happened, and all she muttered was, "Protocol is protocol." Emily didn't scream. She just blinked, lip quivering, but her eyes went straight past Miranda to that little drawing on the floor. It had taken her all night to make that for her mom, "Fly safe, Mommy," and now nobody seemed to care, not even the woman in charge of the sky. A few minutes before, everything felt like magic. Emily had tiptoed on board with her nanny, Mrs. Grace, holding her hand tight, clutching that drawing like it was a winning lottery ticket. Seat 1, it looked like a palace. Soft blanket, shiny pillow, even her name on the manifest because of some medical exemption. Mrs. Grace tried to explain, but Miranda just waved her off. "I don't care if she's the Queen's godchild. Get her out of this cabin." Emily didn't throw a fit, just looked confused, but I drew that for. And that's when Miranda struck her. Nobody in first class even blinked. They all just pretended their screens were more interesting. When Miranda turned to leave, she saw something that made her heart skip. A green bracelet on Emily's wrist, thigh tech, silver letters, C. Bellamont Verified Access, CenturyLink. Miranda's face lost its color, like she realized she might have just slapped the wrong kid. Emily ended up in business class, seat 3C. So small she seemed to disappear into the big leather chair, her drawing now bent and torn on her lap. Mrs. Grace tried to stay calm, whispering, "We're okay, sweetheart." Emily nodded, eyes distant, fingers tracing the bracelet on her wrist. Her mother had slipped it on that morning, kissing her forehead. "This will keep you safe, even when I'm not there." She thought it was just pretty, but now the bracelet felt warm against her skin, almost like someone invisible was holding her hand. It blinked once, then twice. Miles away, a quiet system flagged a red alert. VIP child, Tier 1 harm detected. Nobody on board knew, but somewhere below, a terminal started blinking. Back in business class, a man in a gray suit pretended to cough. A woman in pearls leaned in, muttered, "I thought this was a quiet section." No one looked at Emily like a child who'd just been hurt, only like a nuisance. Emily whispered, "I didn't do anything wrong." Mrs. Grace squeezed her hand. "No, baby, you didn't." The bracelet glowed warmer. Up in first class, Miranda's world started to shift. The galley lights flickered, her in-flight tablet froze, then a red bar popped up. "Clearfly compliance hold. Level 1 active." She tried to get the captain on her radio, nothing but static. The regular chimes were gone. Instead, a deep, deliberate tone echoed and a screen flashed. "Ethics monitoring in progress. Do not interfere." Miranda's heart hammered as she pulled another attendant aside. "Did you see that?" But nobody had answers. Mrs. Grace, who'd seen more in her career as a security chief than most people ever would, felt a different kind of chill. She watched the bracelets glow now amber, not red, but a warning only she seemed to notice. Reaching in her bag, she pulled a small device, sent a coded message. "Grace to command. Code 7 initiated. Subject vulnerable. Harm confirmed. Tier 1 alert. Silent override requested." No response, just a soft beep of acknowledgement. Emily curled up next to her, whispering, "Why did she hit me?" The only answer Mrs. Grace had was a quiet hand on her back. Meanwhile, deep underground at SkyVista Command West of facility, so hidden it didn't appear on maps, a dashboard began to pulse. Ethics protocol triggered. Primary subject, Emily Bellamont, age 4. Staff froze. One supervisor's voice broke the silence. "That's not just any child." See, Emily's mom, Claudia Bellamont, wasn't just CEO of SkyVista, invented the very system now flagging her own daughter as harmed passenger. Nobody dared override. A special terminal flickered. TRZ override, voice only. This is Bellamont. Confirm biometric match. Begin phase 2. Do not alert crew. Reroute to Denver. Patch me into the FA. Back on a plane, the crew poured wine and acted like everything was fine, but the autopilot rerouted destination Denver. In Palo Alto, Claudia stared at her daughter's face on a screen, whispering only, "Enough." That was the twist, you know. Power wasn't in the slap. It was in the way the world shifted after. Passengers noticed something was off. No more refills. No more friendly flight attendants. Just silence and lockdown systems. Miranda, her hands shaking, was locked out of every crew app, her name now flagged on the cabin display. Crew under review. Do not engage passengers. She tried to protest, but the second-in-command's look told her she was on her own. The pilot's announcement was short. We're being rerouted to Denver for technical assessment. Only misses. Grace knew what that really meant. At HQ, the ClearFly AI had finished. Facial scans, voice stress, microexpression analysis. Result: primary ethics violation confirmed. Crew: Miranda Kingsley. Physical and verbal misconduct. Prepare for ground crew intercept. Media access permitted. As the plane landed in Denver, no one clapped, no one moved, until a new message flashed on every screen. This cabin is under ClearFly review. Remain seated. Do not interfere with deboarding process. Two plainclothes federal agents stepped out, straight from Miranda. Ma'am, please rise. You're being removed under FAA Regulation 61.9 child endangerment. Phones came out, cameras flashed. The entire flight became a courtroom, and the verdict was swift. By the time Miranda was walked down the jet bridge, jaw clenched, badge gone, the video had already gone viral. Inside a private suite overlooking the runway, Claudia Bellamont watched the feed without blinking. When her ethics officer said, "We're trending in 6 countries," Claudia raised a hand, ended the chatter, and triggered public disclosure. Multi-angle footage of the slap, plus biometric proof, hit every news outlet and social platform on Earth. Miranda's name was no longer a secret. In a quiet back corridor, a woman from the Office of Passenger Protections told Miranda, "The child you struck was Emily Bellamont. Her mother wrote the ethics laws that govern your job and 82 airports." Miranda's face crumpled. "I didn't know." The answer was flat. "You didn't have to. The system knew. Now everyone does." On live TV, Claudia addressed the nation, launching sweeping reforms: mandatory crew recertification, real-time dignity sensors, public dashboards, instant crew deactivation for child harm. "Silence is not grace," she said. "Power is not noise. Even the smallest passenger deserves protection." Then she walked back to her daughter, kissed her forehead, and whispered, "You didn't even have to say a word. The sky already knew who you were." A week later, the media called it the slap heard round the world, but in Claudia's house, no one mentioned it. Emily stacked blocks, her plush whale beside her. "Do you remember what happened?" Claudia asked. "I'm not mad," Emily said, "but I didn't like her face. It was mean. You were very brave." Emily shrugged. "I just sat there." "Sometimes silence is the loudest thing in the room," Claudia replied, and maybe that was the whole lesson. Real change didn't come from shouting, it came from refusing to look away. Within days, airlines worldwide scrambled to adopt the new passenger equity protocols. Some called Claudia's actions dangerous. Others said SkyVista was too powerful, but she didn't blink. Because it wasn't just about her kid, it was about every kid ever treated like baggage in first class, every old man ignored, every traveler judged for their skin or accent, and every crew member told to act fast, not fair. Claudia kept the original alert in her folder. The moment a pain sensor, a child, and a silent system forced the sky to listen. Months later, the industry had changed, but Emily just told her teacher, "My mom helps airplanes be nice." And maybe that's the most honest answer there is. So now, let me ask you, have you ever been judged for where you sat, how you looked, or just for being quiet? Share your story, or drop a comment if this one hit home. And tell us where you're watching from. We read every single comment. And this time, the sky is listening.